Right. Let's dive into this inner freedom coaching thing.
Okay, yeah.
I know you've been looking into this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
especially Chin MC's ebook, Freedom for Growth, and
Right.
their podcast too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What's got you hooked?
Well, for me, it's how ChimC connects inner freedom
Okay.
to like real tangible changes in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your relationships, your health,
Right.
even your wealth.
That's a pretty big claim.
It is.
It's not just this like,
Yeah.
mountaintop find yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's about how that inner shift can actually change your day-to-day life.
Right, exactly.
But before we get all, ahead of ourselves, let's back up a bit.
Okay.
What exactly is inner freedom, according to Chin MC?
So they define it as
Okay.
this ability to make choices
Mm-hmm.
that are truly aligned with your, true self
Okay.
without being held back by fear, limiting beliefs,
Right.
or those like external pressures we all feel.
Those external pressures, yeah.
It's about recognizing those internal barriers,
Mm-hmm.
the things that keep us,
Yeah.
from reaching our full potential.
Okay, so it's like breaking free from those things that are holding us back.
Exactly. And Shin MC believes that can have a ripple effect,
Okay.
Like it touches every aspect of your life.
That makes sense, but how does
Yeah.
that translate into like better relationships or
Yeah.
a healthier lifestyle?
Well, let's take relationships, for example.
Okay.
Shin MC talks about how inner freedom allows you to communicate more authentically.
Okay.
You set healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You're not constantly trying to please everyone
Right.
or fit into some mold.
Because I know I'm guilty of that sometimes.
It's so common, though.
It is.
But when you have that inner freedom,
Yeah.
your interactions become
Mm.
more genuine, more fulfilling.
That's interesting. So it's not about becoming like
Uh-huh.
some perfect version of yourself.
Not at all.
It's about being more authentic.
Right.
And letting go of that need to please others.
That's a big one, I think, for a lot of people.
Huge.
Myself included. Sometimes I find myself saying yes
Yeah.
to things I don't really want to do
Totally.
just to avoid conflict.
I get that.
Yeah.
But Chin MC argues
Yeah.
that by prioritizing your own needs and desires,
Okay.
you're not being selfish.
Okay.
You're actually creating a stronger foundation for healthy connections.
That makes sense.
And when you come from that place of authenticity,
Yeah.
you attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this could apply to like my own life.
Good.
But what about the connection between inner freedom and, say, physical health?
Okay, so Chin MC's argument is
Yeah.
that inner freedom empowers you to make choices
Mm-hmm.
that actually support your well-being.
Okay.
It's about listening to your body
Right.
and prioritizing things that nourish you.
So that's like
Yeah.
healthy eating, exercise, enough sleep. That's exactly all that good stuff.
But isn't that just basic self-care?
Kind of, but it's more about the motivation behind those choices.
Oh, okay, I see.
See, when you're driven by inner freedom,
Mm-hmm.
you're not just following external rules or pressures.
Yeah.
You're making choices
Uh-huh.
because they align with your values.
So it's not about forcing myself to go to the gym.
Right.
It's about finding activities I genuinely enjoy.
Exactly. It's about that sense of enjoyment and alignment.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
It's not about deprivation. It's not about willpower.
Right.
It's about finding what truly nourishes you.
And when you're coming from a place of self-love, you're more likely to make those good choices.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, now this is where I get a little skeptical.
All right, let's hear it.
What about wealth?
Okay.
Can inner freedom really impact your financial situation?
Chin MC says it can.
Really?
Yeah, they argue that when you're free from those limiting beliefs about money, about success,
Okay.
you're more likely to take risks,
Right.
pursue opportunities, create abundance.
Okay, but it's easy to just say change your mindset.
It is.
How does that actually translate into
Right.
like getting a promotion or starting a business?
It's not just positive thinking.
Okay.
It's about taking aligned action.
Okay.
So when you're clear about your values,
Mhm.
about your goals,
Right.
and you're free from self-doubt, from fear of failure,
Right.
you start making decisions that support your financial well-being.
So that could mean negotiating a raise, investing wisely, or even, like you said, starting that business.
That's it.
Okay, so it's about aligning your actions with your beliefs.
And not letting fear hold you back.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's where Chin MC's 5 superpowers come in.
Yeah.
Right?
These are core capabilities,
Right.
Like we all have them, but we lose touch with them.
Okay, so tell me more about these superpowers.
All right, so first up we have dream.
Dream. Okay, I know we all dream.
Right, but in this context,
Yeah.
dream is about really envisioning possibilities
Mm-hmm.
without those limitations we put on ourselves.
Not just like daydreaming.
No, it's about allowing yourself to believe
Okay.
that those dreams could become reality.
I like that. It's like reclaiming that childlike sense of wonder and possibility.
That's it.
But how do we actually go from dreaming to making those dreams happen?
That's where become comes in.
Become.
This one is about aligning your actions with your authentic self,
Okay.
with who you truly are at your core.
But isn't that just another way of saying be yourself?
It's more than that.
Okay.
It's about actively shaping your life,
Gotcha.
making conscious choices
Right.
that reflect who you are and where you want to go.
So it's about taking ownership of your life
Yeah,
and making choices that feel authentic to you.
exactly. Even if those choices are difficult or unconventional.
Right. Okay. I can see how that connects to inner freedom. It's like breaking free from those expectations.
Yes. And that authenticity is what lets you truly shine.
Okay. We've got dream and become. What's next?
All right, next is befriend.
Befriend. Now, what does it mean to befriend yourself?
It's about cultivating this deep
Okay.
and compassionate relationship with yourself.
Okay.
It's accepting your flaws, your strengths,
Mm.
offering yourself forgiveness, understanding.
Like you would a friend.
Exactly. Because often we are our own worst critics.
That's so true.
We wouldn't talk to a friend the way we talk to ourselves sometimes.
No, not at all.
And that inner critic, that can be a major obstacle to inner freedom.
It can be like having a constant negative voice in your head.
Yes, exactly. But when you befriend yourself,
Yeah.
you silence that negative voice
Okay.
and create space for self-compassion and growth.
So it's about shifting from self-criticism to self-compassion.
Yes. And that can be such a powerful tool.
I can see that. It's like having an inner cheerleader instead of a critic.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have dream, become, befriend next.
Next is belong.
Belong. Now, isn't that something we find externally?
It does have an external component, but it starts within.
Okay.
It's about feeling this connection to something larger than yourself.
So finding your place in the world.
Yes, but without sacrificing your individuality.
Okay, I can see how that could be empowering.
It is.
It's about feeling connected to something that gives your life meaning and purpose.
Exactly.
Okay, dream, become, befriend, belong.
And lastly, believe.
Believe. Okay, is this where the woo-woo stuff comes in?
Not necessarily. While it can include, faith in something bigger,
Yeah.
it also means believing in yourself.
So believing in your abilities, your potential.
Yes. Having confidence in your own strength and resilience.
But what if you've had setbacks, failures in the past?
It's about reframing those experiences,
Okay,
seeing them as opportunities for growth, for learning,
that's a good way to look at it.
and focusing on your strengths, your past successes.
So shifting your perspective and choosing to believe in yourself.
Yes. And that belief fuels your actions,
Mhm.
It propels you toward your dreams.
I like that. These superpowers are really starting to make sense now.
They build on each other.
It's like they each create a foundation for the next one.
Exactly. They all connect back to inner freedom.
It's not just about feeling good, it's about taking action, creating the life you want.
And ChinMC's coaching program helps people do just that.
Right, it's not just theory, it's about putting it into practice.
That's what drew me to it.
Me too.
It's about real-world application and community support.
And that's what we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive.
We'll get into the 12-week program
Okay,
and how it helps people navigate those 4 realms of social interaction.
I'm ready for part 2.
Awesome.
But before we go, anything else about these superpowers our listeners should know?
Just remember, they don't appear overnight.
Right?
It takes time, practice, patience.
Like building a muscle.
Exactly. But the more you use them, the stronger they become.
Okay, that's great advice. I'm excited to dive into part 2.
Me too.
Okay, so last time we were talking about these 5 superpowers.
Right.
Dream, become, befriend, belong, believe,
Yes.
and how they all connect to inner freedom.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. I'm still processing it all, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. It's powerful stuff.
But I'm curious,
Mhm.
how do we actually apply these superpowers in our everyday lives?
That's a great question.
Because, sometimes it's hard to see how these big ideas translate into, like, concrete actions.
Absolutely. It can
I,
feel a bit abstract.
so how do we bridge that gap?
Well, that's where ChinMC's 12-week coaching program comes in.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned that before.
It's designed to give you that structure,
So you're not just left floundering trying to figure it all out on your own.
Exactly.
And one of the things that really stood out to me
Mm-hmm.
was the emphasis on having a coaching partner.
Yeah, you're not meant to go it alone.
Right. So what's the thinking behind that?
Well, having a partner provides accountability.
Okay.
It gives you support, a sounding board for your ideas.
That's someone to bounce ideas off of.
Exactly. Someone to walk beside you on this journey.
Mhm.
Someone who understands the process and can offer encouragement.
Because I think a lot of people, myself included, get intimidated by the idea of like making big changes.
Oh, totally. It can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, it's like, where do I even begin?
Exactly. But having that support system can be huge.
Okay, so the coaching partner is like your built-in cheerleader.
Yeah. And the program itself,
Yeah.
it's designed to break things down into manageable steps.
So you're not trying to tackle everything at once.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Each week focuses on a different aspect of inner freedom.
Okay.
Whether it's diving deeper into one of the superpowers
Yeah.
or exploring like specific tools and techniques.
Okay, I like that. It's like a step-by-step guide.
It is.
Can you give me an example of one of those tools or techniques?
Sure. One that they emphasize is mindful self-reflection.
Mindful self-reflection.
Okay. Now, this isn't just about like sitting on a meditation cushion,
Right.
although that can be helpful.
Okay.
It's about taking time each day to pause,
Mm-hmm.
observe your thoughts, your feelings without judgment,
Without judgment.
and then identifying any limiting beliefs or negative patterns.
So it's about becoming aware of those voices in our heads.
Exactly. The ones that say we're not good enough.
Or that we can't do it.
Yes. Those voices can be so loud.
They really can.
And they can sabotage our efforts without us even realizing it.
It's like they're working behind the scenes.
Exactly. But mindful self-reflection helps us bring those voices to light.
Okay, so we can start to, like, challenge them?
Yes. And reframe them.
That makes sense.
Right.
But how do we actually change those negative thought patterns?
That's where things like affirmations come in.
Affirmations.
Or
Yeah.
positive self-talk.
So replacing the negative thoughts with positive ones.
Exactly. It might sound simple,
Yeah.
but the words we use,
Okay.
they have a powerful impact on our beliefs and our actions.
So instead of saying, I can't do this,
Right.
you might say, I am capable.
Yes. I am strong. I am worthy.
And the more you practice that positive self-talk,
Mm-hmm.
the more you start to believe it.
Exactly. It's about retraining your brain.
I like that.
And having that coaching partner
Yeah.
to remind you of those affirmations to
Yeah.
help you stay on track,
Okay.
that can make a huge difference.
It's like having that external accountability.
It is.
Okay, so we've got mindful self-reflection, we've got affirmations.
Right.
What other tools does the program use?
Well, there's values clarification.
Values clarification.
It helps you identify your core values,
Okay.
those guiding principles that are most important to you.
Why is that so important?
Because when you're clear about your values, you can start making choices that align with them.
Oh, I see. So you're living in accordance with what you truly believe in.
Exactly. And that creates a sense of authenticity, of purpose.
You know, I've never really thought about it that way,
Mm.
but it makes so much sense. When I look back on times when I felt really fulfilled,
Yeah,
it was because I was living in alignment with my values.
that's it. And when you make choices that go against your values,
Yeah,
even if they seem like good choices on the surface,
right.
you end up feeling off.
That's so true. It's like that little voice inside is saying, this doesn't feel right.
Exactly. Your values are like your internal compass.
I like that analogy.
And when you ignore that compass,
You get lost.
you do. You feel lost and unfulfilled.
Okay, so values clarification is about figuring out what those core principles are.
Yes. And then using them as a framework for your decisions.
I like that. So you're not just reacting to things.
Right.
You're making conscious choices based on what truly matters to you. Okay, we've got mindful self-reflection, values clarification.
Okay.
What else?
One that really resonated with me is embodied action.
Embodied action.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that all about?
It's about taking action,
Okay.
aligning your actions with your goals, your values.
Even if it's scary,
Yes. Even if it feels uncomfortable at first.
because that's where the growth happens, right?
Exactly. It's about pushing past your comfort zone.
Okay.
Taking the small steps
Yeah.
that lead to big changes.
Like that saying, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yes, that's it.
And this is where I think having that coaching partner could be really helpful.
Oh, absolutely. It's easier to take those risks when
Right.
you know you have someone cheering you on.
Okay, so the program provides support for that embodied action.
Yes. And it also helps you navigate those social interactions
Okay.
that can sometimes feel challenging,
Right.
especially when you're trying to embrace your inner freedom.
You're showing up differently in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And that can sometimes create friction.
Yeah, I can see that.
But the program gives you the tools to handle those situations.
So last time we talked about the 4 realms of social interaction.
Right.
Explore for visibility,
Mm.
relate for influence, create for inspiration, experiment for change.
Yes.
What does explore for visibility actually look like in practice?
It's about stepping outside of your comfort zone,
Okay.
embracing opportunities to be seen, to be heard.
So like networking events, public speaking.
That's it. Or even just sharing your ideas more openly in conversations.
It's about putting yourself out there.
Yes, but it's not about seeking attention or validation.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that you have something valuable to offer
Right.
and being willing to share it with the world.
So it's more about like sharing your gifts and talents.
Exactly. And the program provides tools for overcoming social anxiety
Okay.
and building confidence in your ability to connect with others authentically.
That's great. What about relate for influence?
Okay, so this one is about building genuine connections
Okay.
based on empathy,
Mm.
trust, mutual respect.
It's about building bridges, not walls.
That's a great way to put it.
So it's about learning how to communicate effectively.
Exactly. Active listening, open communication,
Okay.
being willing to see things from other people's perspectives.
And the program gives you strategies for handling those tough conversations.
Yes. Resolving conflicts, building strong relationships.
Okay, that's helpful. What about create for inspiration?
This one is all about tapping into your creativity.
Okay.
It can be artistic expression, yeah,
Right.
but it can also be coming up with innovative ideas, solutions.
It's about using your imagination.
Yes. And then using that creativity to make a positive impact.
So it's not just about like making art for art's sake.
Right.
It's about using your creative energy to make a difference.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And they provide tools for overcoming creative blocks,
Okay.
developing your creative voice, and
Oh.
sharing your creations with the world.
So even if you don't think of yourself as a creative person, there's still a way to tap into that energy.
Absolutely. We all have that potential within us.
Okay, that's great. And finally, experiment for change. What does that one look like?
This is all about embracing the unknown,
Okay.
viewing challenges as opportunities for growth.
So being willing to take risks.
Yes. Stepping outside your comfort zone,
Okay.
trying new things, seeing what happens.
It's about having that growth mindset.
Exactly. It's about embracing the journey, knowing that it's not always going to be easy,
Right.
but it's always worth it.
This program sounds incredibly comprehensive.
It is. It's like a roadmap for personal growth.
And you have all the tools and support you need to navigate the journey.
That's the idea. And the best part is, it's not just a one-time thing.
Right.
The tools and techniques you learn,
Okay.
you can keep using them in any area of your life.
So it's an investment in your ongoing growth.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the practical side of things.
Yeah.
What about the bigger picture?
Okay.
What's ChinMC's vision for the impact of this movement?
Well, their vision is pretty ambitious.
Okay, let's hear it.
They believe that widespread adoption of these principles
Okay.
could lead to a more compassionate, equitable, and fulfilling world.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
It is.
How do they see that happening?
They believe that as more individuals cultivate inner freedom,
Yeah.
they'll naturally create positive ripple effects in their relationships, communities, workplaces.
So personal transformation leading to societal transformation.
Exactly.
It's like each person becomes a little beacon of light,
Yes.
spreading that positive energy outwards.
And they envision a world where people feel empowered to express themselves,
Okay.
to connect genuinely, to contribute their unique gifts.
That's a beautiful vision.
It is.
But how realistic is it? I mean, the world can be a pretty cynical place sometimes.
It's true, change doesn't happen overnight.
You know.
But ChinMC believes that change starts with each individual.
Oh.
It starts with us taking responsibility for our own inner freedom.
So it's about doing our own inner work and letting that ripple outwards.
Exactly. And the more people who embrace this philosophy,
Yeah.
the greater the momentum for positive change.
It's like a critical mass.
Yes.
Once enough people shift their consciousness, the collective energy starts to transform.
Exactly.
Okay, this is all very thought-provoking, but let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Not everyone is going to sign up for a 12-week coaching program.
That's true.
What about those who are interested in these ideas,
Right.
but maybe not ready to make that kind of commitment?
That's a great point. And that's why ChinMC offers a bunch of free resources.
Oh, right. You mentioned those before.
Their ebook and podcast, both called Freedom for Growth.
Tell me more about those.
Okay, so the ebook is a comprehensive guide.
Okay.
It goes deeper into the concepts, provides practical exercises,
Right.
real-life examples, inspiring stories.
So it's like a companion guide to everything we've been talking about.
It's exactly.
And it's free.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm always a little suspicious of those free offers.
I know what you mean.
But it sounds like they genuinely want to make this work accessible.
They do. And for those who prefer audio,
Yeah.
they also have the podcast.
Okay, what's the podcast like?
It's more conversational.
Okay.
They interview ChinMC, the co-founders, other people who have gone through the program and
Yeah.
experienced amazing transformations.
So you get to hear those firsthand accounts.
Yes. It makes it feel more real, more relatable.
It's one thing to hear about the theory,
Right.
but it's another thing to hear how it's actually played out in people's lives.
Exactly.
You know, I'm thinking back to ChinMC's vision
Mm-hmm.
of a world where inner freedom is a fundamental human right.
It's a big vision.
It is.
But the more I learn about their approach,
Well,
the more I think maybe it's not so far-fetched.
maybe it's possible.
It is possible.
And even if you don't buy into the whole global transformation thing,
Right.
there's still so much value in cultivating inner freedom for yourself.
Absolutely.
This whole deep dive has been a powerful reminder
Mm-hmm.
that we have more control over our lives
Yeah,
than we often realize.
we do.
It's not about waiting for things to change externally.
Right.
It's about taking ownership of our inner world.
Yes. And making choices that align with our true selves.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
And remember, it all starts with a single step.
That's a good point.
Choose one superpower, one small action,
Okay?
one moment of self-care.
Yeah.
And see where it leads you.
It can feel overwhelming to think about changing your whole life,
It can.
but it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. Those small, consistent steps
Right.
lead to big transformations over time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're not alone on this journey.
Yeah.
There's a whole community out there ready to support you.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining me.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners.
We encourage you to keep exploring these ideas, to check out the resources,
Mm-hmm.
and see how inner freedom can transform your life.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot about ChinMC and their 12-week program.
We have. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
But there's one thing I keep coming back to,
Okay, what's that?
their personal story.
Right. ChinMC's own transformation.
You mentioned they had this stable career but weren't fulfilled.
It's easy to get caught in that trap.
It is, like you're doing all the right things.
Right. On paper, everything looks great.
But there's this nagging feeling like something's missing.
That's exactly what ChinMC was going through.
Yeah, and they were like actively seeking, right.
They were. Degrees, workshops, the whole 9 yards.
But still, something wasn't clicking.
It seems like they were searching for answers outside themselves.
Instead of looking within.
Exactly. And that's something a lot of us do.
Oh,
right?
totally. We think, if I just get that promotion, then I'll be happy.
Right. Or if I just find the perfect partner.
But true fulfillment comes from within.
ChinMC learned that the hard way.
So how did they finally make that shift, you know?
How did they discover this whole inner freedom thing?
Well, from what I've read,
yeah.
the turning point was when they started coaching.
Oh, interesting.
They had these 2 practicing partners,
Okay.
and they were guiding them through the 12-week program.
So they were putting the principles into action.
Yeah, and witnessing the transformation in others.
It's like they finally understood the power of this method.
It wasn't just theory anymore.
Right. It became real.
It makes me think about the become superpower.
Oh, yeah. Good connection.
It's not just about thinking, it's about doing.
Exactly. And that highlights another key part of ChinMC's approach.
Which is,
Community.
okay, yeah, they talk a lot about having a coaching partner.
But it goes beyond that.
In what way?
They envision this whole network of coaches.
Okay.
Supporting each other, empowering each other.
To create change in the world.
Yes. It's like a ripple effect.
I love that. It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I love that saying.
There's something powerful about that, you know?
It's the shared purpose, the
Yeah,
support system.
It's that sense of belonging.
Which, as we talked about,
Yeah.
is one of those key superpowers.
It all ties together.
It does. It's about recognizing that we're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Our individual growth impacts the collective.
Okay, so we've got Chin MC's personal story, the community aspect,
Right.
12-week program.
And for those who aren't ready to commit to the program,
Yeah.
ChinMC offers some great free resources too.
Oh, right. The ebook and the podcast.
Exactly.
Tell me more about those.
Well, the ebook, Freedom for Growth,
Yeah.
it's a really thorough explanation of the concepts,
Okay.
the practical exercises, examples, all that good stuff.
It's like a companion guide to this deep dive.
It is, and it's free.
I'm impressed by that, honestly.
Me too.
Yeah.
It seems like they're genuinely passionate about sharing this work.
And the podcast. What's that like?
It's more conversational.
Yeah.
They interview ChinMC, the co-founders, people who've gone through the program.
So you get to hear how these principles have actually played out in people's lives.
Exactly. It's really inspiring.
It's one thing to hear about the theory,
Yeah.
but it's another to hear how it's actually transformed people's relationships, careers.
It makes it feel more real, more attainable.
Okay, so even if you're not ready for the 12-week program,
Mm-hmm.
there are still ways to explore these ideas.
Definitely. And start applying them to your own life.
You know, I'm thinking back to Chin MC's vision of inner freedom as a human right.
It's a big vision.
It is. But the more we talk about it,
Yeah.
the more I think maybe it's not so impossible.
It's not. It starts with each of us.
Right, making those individual changes.
And letting that ripple outwards.
So even if you don't believe in the whole global transformation thing,
Yeah.
there's still so much value in cultivating inner freedom for yourself.
Absolutely. It's about taking control of your life, your happiness.
This whole deep dive has been such a great reminder of that.
Me too.
We have more power than we think.
We do.
It's not about waiting for things to change, it's about taking action.
Beautifully said. And remember, it all starts with one step.
One small step.
Choose one superpower, one tiny action, and see where it leads you.
That's a perfect takeaway. It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And you don't have to do it alone.
Right. There's a whole community out there.
Ready to support you.
This has been so inspiring. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This conversation has been a real joy.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into inner freedom.
Keep exploring, keep growing, and keep believing in the power of inner freedom.
We'll see you next time.